welcome. I am Shavania M. Dash, principal of George Herbert Walker Bush Elementary School. Thank you. We are pleased that you all braved the cold weather to join us for this dedication ceremony, and especially proud since our event today is the third in a series of 14 new Dallas ISD school dedications under the 2008 bond program. I would like to recognize our elected officials in attendance today. State Representative Stephanie Carter. Thank you. Addison Mayor Todd Meyer, and Addison Council members. Trustee Edwin Flores, who worked diligently with Dallas ISD to bring our school to life. We thank you for your tireless efforts that brought us to this day of celebration. I would like to acknowledge other board members in the audience today and other elected officials or representatives of elected officials. Would you please stand? Thank you. Your presence here proclaims the importance of this new school. Thanks to my staff, my fabulous students and parents who make what I do every day exciting and enjoyable. Thank you to our site-based decision-making committee members and more than 120 PTA members who consistently lend their support. You are indeed points of light as volunteers for our school. And although we are not in New England, much like our Patriot mascot, we are a team working together to create champions and to motivate championship dreams within all of our students. Last but certainly not least, sincere thanks to George P. Bush, who has joined us on behalf of the Bush family. Mr. Bush, your participation makes this a special day for our staff and students. We are grateful that you're here. Today is history in the making. We have a beautiful school, and I'm a little biased. Wonderful students and excellent staff members in the first Dallas ISD school built in the town of Addison. You'll hear more about the features of the campus soon and the legacy of George H.W. Bush. Please stand for the presentation of the flag by W.T. White Marine Corps JROTC Color Guard, directed by Sergeant Major Willie Martin, and remain standing as we pledge our allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, W.T. White cadets, for your service here today. You may be seated. Our current fifth grade students will follow in your footsteps very soon as they go to middle school at E.D. Walker and graduate from W.T. White High School in 2019. Wow, that's not very far away. Our first speakers today share their commitment to Dallas ISD schools and students through their thoughtful and very important decisions that they make every day related to our district's budget, policies, and procedures. Representing District 1, Dr. Edwin Flores has been a member of the Board of Trustees since May 2005, and in May of 2011 was elected second vice president of the board. Dr. Flores is a biotechnology patent attorney in private practice, but his life is a reflection of his commitment to education from elementary to graduate studies. Following Dr. Flores will be Dr. Claudia Rodriguez, representing our interim superintendent of schools, Alan King. Dr. Rodriguez is our district's chief of staff. First, please welcome Trustee Edwin Flores.
Thank you so much, and it is great to be gathered here today for something that I'm very excited about, which is the dedication of this beautiful new school, and you'll hear all about the geothermal heating and cooling and all the cool features about it. But more importantly, you know, I want you to join me in congratulating Ms. Dash and the staff that she put together, and of course the students of this great school. So I was told that I only had 45 minutes, so I'm going to try to, no, I think I have 3. So we have received a letter from President George W. Bush, which I will read in a second. But first, I want to bring up he was able to fit us in his schedule. He was supposed to fly out of town this morning, and instead, former mayor of Addison, Joe Chow, who was also the chair of the committee that I had named this school. So I'd like to, if he has a couple seconds, to bring some greetings and say some things before he dashes off on a flight. If Joe, if you could come up real quick and kind of go off the schedule a little bit.
Thank you, Dr. Flores. I'm so honored and proud to be here today. And I have original flight at 7:35. I arranged that several months ago. So I said I have to postpone it and to 1:35. So I remember since I was elected in 2005, I had the idea to put citizens and the city government together. So I originated, and with the help of the staff and the other council members, for how we called 10 citizen advisory committees. The education committee is one of those 10 committees. So we gather together like almost 9 months, twice a month. Then the education committee's members suggested we should have charter school. And I said, it's not feasible because we will increase the property tax rate probably 20 cents and more. So I said, we have the great Dallas ISD right here. Why don't we build one on Edison turf, right on Lewis Field, right here? So I invited Dr. Elwin Flores and also Michael Hinojosa and to have lunch together. So we make this possible. And then they passed the bond election, and we started breaking the ground along with George P. Bush. So then 2 years after that, and it's so beautiful. It's a great accomplishment we all have. All the Addison citizens and the staff and all the council should feel real proud of yourself. Give you all a round of applause, please. In here, I especially want to mention 2 people, 2 council members involved so much in the project, of the process. One is Bianca Noble. Bianca, you want to stand up? And she has involved so much in the principal selection and parent-teacher association and all the curriculums. But also Tom Brown, the former council member. Who's Tom? His profession is in construction, so he spent a lot of time in working on the design and construction side. So with that, I want to tell you this, I can't feel more proud of what we have accomplished together. And education begins from family. So we have to make sure all the family members, all the parents care about their children, then we will never have bad kids. And also, I always firmly believe education starts from family, and also that's local and state issues. Thank you so much. Enjoy your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe, for rearranging your schedule around. Since he chewed up most of my time, but that's okay, because, it's always chow time, I think, is what I hear. I also want to recognize Ori Rafael, representing U.S. Congressman Pete Sessions' office. He's here. Oh, there we go. And Todd Martin, representing U.S. Congressman Kenny Marchant's office. And I know there are all sorts of folks here. Ken Sheets is here, so thanks all of you for participating today. I want to read a letter that George W. Bush sent, and that'll probably be the rest of my remarks. But finally, before I do that, I want to thank all of you who were formerly on the City Council, current City Council member and Mayor Todd Meyer, Joe, and everybody who made this possible. The precincts in Addison were actually, in the 2008 bond, the precincts that most overwhelmingly voted in favor of passing the bond and actually had the highest percentages of voting in favor of the bond. So it was really the citizens of Addison that not only made this school possible, but many of our schools possible. So I really want to thank them for that. It's been a great effort, and we continue with our other schools. So here's the letter from President Bush. Greetings to those gathered in Addison, Texas to celebrate the dedication of George Herbert Walker Bush Elementary School. Education is the future of our country and the cornerstone of a hopeful tomorrow. By ensuring a quality education for every child, we fulfill an important duty to our next generation and help them reach as far as their vision and character can take them. We rely on good schools to give young people the confidence and skills they need to succeed and realize the American dream. Every citizen has a stake in ensuring that our schools fulfill their promise. I am grateful to all of those who helped bring this facility to completion and appreciate your recognizing a great man who cares deeply about the education of young Americans. Your efforts to provide children with a foundation for success reflect the character of our nation. Laura and I send our best wishes on this special occasion, George Bush. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Good morning, students. You know, all of us in front here can't see that good-looking group in the back in red and blue and white. So we're really excited to have our students present this morning as well. Good morning, staff. Good morning again, students. Good morning, distinguished guests and family members here. We really are proud of this school and are really excited that this is our third dedication for the 2008 bond program. As Dr. Flores said, it really is the voters that made our 2008 bond program happen, and we are very appreciative of the confidence that our voters had in our district and helped supporting the building of new schools. All of our students deserve facilities like this one. They truly do, because it just brings a sense of pride and commitment, and students learn to cherish not only our buildings and the staff, but the legacies in our buildings of individuals just like President Bush, who leave legacies of their own and also allow students an opportunity to create their own legacies. And that is really what we're hoping for the students at this wonderful elementary school. President Bush's legacy also includes that he was one of the youngest U.S. Navy aviators when he enlisted. He did support and signed into law the American Disabilities Act, which was very important for us. He negotiated the North American Free Trade Agreement, and even now in retirement continues to support individuals victims from natural disasters. And that entire volunteer attitude, the supporting of victims, the supporting of young people like we are honoring here today in this building as well, really reaffirms all of our commitment to doing always what is best for children. I invite all of you, before you leave today, to take a tour of the facility. The facility is truly amazing and beautiful. Mr. Bush, again, thank you for representing your family this morning.
Thank you, Dr. Flores and Dr. Rodriguez. State Representative Stephanie Carter of District 102 was elected to office in 2010. Born and raised in Dallas to an elementary school teacher, mother, and an engineer entrepreneur father, she believes that education is the great equalizer, and the quest for higher education should be in every child's heart. Representative Carter will be followed by Mayor Todd Meyer, whose diligent leadership will keep Addison poised as the world-class city that it is today, home to a variety of international corporations, popular retail stores, and innovative entrepreneurs. And now, the Honorable Stephanie Carter.
First of all, let me say what an honor it is to be here today. It is just a delight that this school is opening, it has opened, and that the kiddos are here, and sure enough, it's named George H.W. Bush. I want to present you, if I may, on behalf of the Texas House of Representatives, a flag flown over the Capitol on November 8th in honor of this great elementary school, and congratulate you for your being principal and for the great service of this state and community. You're welcome. Thank you again. I couldn't help but notice, let me say, that my House colleague Kenneth Sheets is here today, and it's so good to see you as always, Kenneth. And I also couldn't help but notice that my friend Kimberly Lay's here, and we have two friends on the program, Dr. Edwin Flores, who does a great job for Dallas Independent School District, and my friend George P. Bush, whom I tell often that I think he was probably the reason I ran in the first place, although he probably doesn't know it and wouldn't take credit for it. But both do so much for the community, and thank you so much. George, your father, former President George H.W. Bush, your father, there's so many Bushes who serve in office that it's hard to keep track. Former Florida Governor Jeb Bush was in Dallas recently, and he spoke at an entrepreneurial program for University of North Texas. And one of the things that he talked about there is the American dream. And you know, when I was elected in November of 2010, it was something that I talked about a lot myself. And the reason is I wanted to stand up for things like access to quality education and to be living proof that the American dream is alive and well. And for those who don't know, I come from a family of 8, yes, 8. As you heard Principal Dash say, my mother was a school teacher, and my father was a trained chemical engineer, but he has been mowing lawns as a small business owner for as long as I can remember. And both of my parents taught me a tremendous deal about hard work, and I'm looking at you kiddos, hard work and responsibility and determination. And they said, Stephanie, you can do anything you want if you put your heart and your mind into it. And those were the sort of values that were ingrained into me even when I was off in high school as an employee at Popeye's Chicken, if you can believe it. And believe it or not, I laugh till this day that I worked so hard. I'm single-handedly responsible for having some of the crispiest fried chicken in North Texas. You know, we weren't rich growing up. My parents always believed that in America, as many have said, it's not about where you've been, it's about where you're going. I certainly believe that. And they believe that all 6 of their kids could grow up and be anything. They could be astronauts, they could be doctors, they could be lawyers, they could be plumbers, anything we wanted to be. And I certainly was raised to believe that because they encourage us to challenge ourselves to the nth degree. Now, for the young people here, I want you to know that when I was about your age and just shortly thereafter, I was encouraged by some bad kids. They said, Stephanie, you can't succeed. Skip school, be mean to other kids. And they were trying to take me down the wrong path. You just have to remember what my parents told me. My parents said, Stephanie, if people tell you you can't do something, you just go out there and you prove them wrong. And I want you to know that that's one of the things that I tried to do growing up. I was committed, as my parents instructed, to excellence. And that's why I'm so proud of the mission of this school, committed to excellence and equality for all. That's very important. As a graduate of public schools, as you heard, I went off to UT Austin and then Harvard Law School. My parents told me, Stephanie, you have only one life, make the most of it. And Dad said, get through your education, do not make excuses, work hard, change your life, do well in school, do the best you can, and you can go anywhere you want. And that's how my 5 siblings and I all succeeded. It wasn't an anomaly. President George H.W. Bush once said, if you take school seriously, you won't have to settle for a job, just any job. You'll have a career. And in my legal career, I have attempted to do the very best I could. I worked at one of the top law firms in the state of Texas. I'm a former prosecutor. I've worked in Collin County. And all of my hard work led me to my aspirations of one day serving our community and trying to be a product of the great America in which we live and the dream of that it holds for all of us. And the American dream was one reason that I was so delighted to be appointed by the governor to the State Board for Educator Certification, where I worked to help improve the standards of certification for our teachers, counselors, and administrators across the state. And I have a passion for education, and I'm so delighted to be a freshman and to do my best to stand up for school children. It's not about ideology, it's about kids. and to keep dollars in the classroom where it really counts. In the 82nd legislature, we worked hard to craft a state budget that is balanced and doesn't raise taxes. I don't know how many of you in a down economy would like to have your taxes raised, but I know my parents, as my father, as I said, mows lawns, sure wouldn't. The opening of the school in Addison, and kudos to the council and the former council members who were here, including our former mayor, Joe Chow, is a sign of the commitment that this town has to kids and to improving the education of its citizens. Addison, as you know, has a booming economy. Everybody wants to live here, and the involvement and support of the community, I think, make the success of this project here at George Bush School tremendous. And I think that there are so many activities that happen, like donations from local businesses regarding school supplies, and other activities show the value that the communities place on the children, and as well as the connection between the town of Addison and Dallas ISD. Children are our future. Kids, you are our future. Did you know that? Well, you are. Commit to excellence, as your mission says. And parents and teachers, that doesn't mean just here at this elementary school, but in middle school and high school and beyond. And just know, kids, that you have a community that cares so much about you, and strive to do the very best you can, and you will. Thank you so much for having me here today. I'm sorry I didn't keep it to 3.5 minutes, but politicians love to talk, as you know. So thank you so much. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holiday.
Good morning. I am so pleased and proud to be mayor of Addison and be with you all this morning and see those bright, shining faces of our future today. And I'm a big believer that anything great that happens, particularly something like this, happens through a collaborative process. And in that regard, I'd like to recognize the many, many folks that were involved in this happening, in this wonderful school happening. And I'll start with those that Joe alluded to, but certainly Mayor Joe Chow. And I'm going to ask each of you, if you would, to stand and just continue standing till we're completed with this thought for just a second. Mayor, if you'd stand. Tom Brown and Bianca Noble, formerly on the council, were really instrumental. The three of them really literally laid the bricks for this building, and we're so proud and pleased for your service and thankful for your service. But I'd also like to ask my fellow council members that are here today. I know Kimberly Lay was previously our liaison in education. Bruce Arfson is currently our liaison in education and working closely with the school. Ask them to stand. Then I'd also like our great staff, the town of Addison staff, to stand. I see Mark and Chris Terry, and I know Carrie's here. If they'd stand, because what we're talking about here is a collaborative process. And what is a collaborative process? It's all these folks working together. And I'd also like Dave and your team, the contractors that also worked on this facility to make that happen. If you all would stand also. Everybody that touched this place and making it happen, I'd ask you to stand. And the rest of us look around and see this is the embodiment of collaborative process. And that's why this turned out so well. It's working together. You kids hear about that. Working together is important. Well, this is what happens. All these folks work together to make this happen. Thank you very much for what you've done, not only for this generation of kiddos that are here, but the many generations of kids that will follow. And I'm very proud to say that our Addison community has already embraced this school. From the very first day the bricks were laid to right on through the future. Green Hill School, the next door neighbor, has embraced this school and working closely with it. Many of the members on the PTA committee are close neighbors and parts of the Addison community. They're working forward for this school to be successful. The community has embraced this school, and we're really, really proud of that. And I'll leave you with one last thought. In the 80s, DISD did a bond campaign, long before the 2008 campaign, and they developed a slogan that I think is still today appropriate to put everything in perspective. And they posed the rhetorical question of, what is a school? And they answered it with, it's 4 walls with a roof and the future inside. And today we can add, and with the inspirational name of George Herbert Walker Bush attached to it. Really a good combination. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Representative Carter and Mayor Meyer. We value your leadership and your dedication to this community. There are so many firsts as the principal of a new school. The very first staff meeting, the thrill and anxiousness of the very first day of school, and getting to know the outstanding students we serve each and every day. It's even more exciting when our first choir gets to sing a new song written specifically for today's dedication ceremony. And now on our stage, for the very first time ever, the debut performance of the George H.W. Bush Elementary School Choir performing "We Will Be," written by our very own music teacher, Mrs. Raquel Nguyen.
Dreams, what the world is built upon. And those dreams we hope to carry on. But you gotta believe in the strength of you and me, and what we will be. Peace, we are united from the start. And this peace will away both near and far. But you gotta believe in the strength of you and me, and what we will be. We will be the strongest, brightest star. We will be the source of light and the source of pride. We will be together side by side. I believe you and me will be. Take my hand, and you will never walk alone. Hand in hand, our world will always grow. But you gotta believe in the strength of you and me, and what we will be. We will be the strongest, brightest stars. We will be the source of light and the source of pride. We will be together side by side, but you gotta believe you and me, we will be.
Weren't they fabulous? They did a super fantastic job. Let's give them one more round of applause. They deserve it. Thank you so much to our wonderful choir and to Mrs. Nguyen. That was a fantastic treat, and I know we do believe, and yeah, they're waving, in their strength and in the ability of the students we have here. And right now, we want to take a moment to spotlight our Bush team. Will all staff present please stand so we can acknowledge you? Teachers, go ahead. Those in the back, wave your hands. I always tell my teachers that I truly believe that we are very blessed to be here. We have just been embraced by this community, and I always share with them and with our students, to whom much is given, much is required. And I do believe that our students and our teachers and all of our faculty and staff members here know how very fortunate we are to be here and to have such great support from Dallas ISD and from the town of Addison. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts for your support. We do appreciate you. And now, George H.W. Bush, our 41st president, was an amazing team leader. Elected to office in 1988, President Bush achieved unprecedented victories in foreign policy, civil rights, trade, and on environmental issues. Among his many triumphs, he has always been a champion of education and an amazing advocate for volunteerism. Although former President Bush was unable to be here with us today, he did take a moment to record a special message. But first, it's an honor to welcome a Bush family member today. It is with great pleasure that I introduce George P. Bush, attorney and real estate developer and grandson of President George Herbert Walker Bush. Mr. Bush, in celebration of today's event, we have a presentation that we hope you will carry on to your grandfather. So if I could have those students, Trustee Flores, Representative Carter, and Mayor Meyer, please join me on stage. Mr. Bush, could you please join us as well? A little special memento for George P. Bush. I think it's important that he shows his patriot pride as well with his very own George H.W. Bush Elementary shirt. Maybe a little bit big, but so thank you for that. Thank you. All right, so and then we're going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Thank you very much for joining us this morning. It's a true honor and delight to be here on behalf of my grandfather. When I think of my grandfather, George H.W. Bush, I think of patriot. So I think that the new nickname for the school makes perfect sense. I want to thank all the elected officials, all the individuals that were instrumental in bringing this school together, members of the military, future members of the military. Thank you for your service and what you do. Since I only have 4 minutes, I could go on for an hour about the career and lifetime of my grandfather, but I thought I'd just talk a little bit about the importance of public service and being a patriot. When you look at his life, at the age of 16, signing up for a commission to become a naval aviator to serve his country in our country's greatest war, which is World War II, inspired me to sign up for my own commission in the Navy. And about a year ago, I returned from Afghanistan after a year-long tour of duty, and I'm trying to convince my wife to allow me to go back again. But service to country is something that's instilled in my family, and it's reflected in the service of my dad, who's the former governor, and my uncle, the former president of the United States. You look at his career, and you speak with both Democrats and Republicans. He carried the virtues and the values that are missing in today's politics. And I know this isn't meant to be a political event, but what I view is what's lacking in our debate today is the inability to be pragmatic, to meet in the middle. And that's what my grandfather reflected in his service. He went against the Republican Party when he voted for the Equal Rights Housing Act in the 60s. The American Disabilities Act and the Clean Water Act were chastised in his own party. But when it came down to it, he fought for the principles that were important to the American people. He fought against tyranny and aggression in the Middle East, and as was alluded to before, demonstrated one of the strongest foreign policy records as President of the United States. But most importantly, education and family is what matters most to George H.W. Bush. Whether you talk about the Dallas Celebration of Reading, which has raised millions of dollars for literacy here in the Metroplex, or you talk about the Points of Light Foundation, which continues to encourage volunteerism through after-school programs, or encouraging people to teach in inner-city high schools. This is what George H.W. Bush is all about, public service. And so my hope is that in today's classrooms in this school, we will have future CEOs. There are many corporations, as was alluded to here in Addison, maybe even a future president. And so with that, I understand there was a tribute put together by my grandfather, and I think this is the time where we'll turn it over to that.
I'm George Herbert Walker Bush, and I am proud to have your school named in my honor. I join you in spirit today to celebrate your new school. For the students, I have just a little advice today. Read something for both fun and learning each day. Whether it's literature or textbooks or even comic books, reading leads to learning, and readers are leaders. Next, give schoolwork the attention it deserves. Even with your least favorite subjects, a little more time can make the difference between success and failures. Always give your best effort. You might not get a perfect score, but you'll know you did your best. Parents and community members, your active participation as volunteers will create an educational team with the teachers that will guarantee your students' success. Teachers and staff, thank you for all you do for our future leaders. You are our heroes. Go Patriots.
That was awesome. Such thoughtful words of encouragement and guidance from our former president. It means a lot to have this message for our students and families for years to come. I'm sure we'll watch it often. Thank you, Mr. Bush, as well, for sharing in this very special day with us. Our final speaker this morning will provide more details on how George H.W. Bush Elementary came to be, the design and construction, so that we can truly appreciate the magnificence of our new school. Dave Patton, Director of Design and Special Projects in our Construction Services Department, works closely with the architects, project managers, and contractors responsible for this remarkable school. Mr. Patton?
Thank you, Ms. Dash. Every time we do this, I seem to be the last speaker. That, of course, means I have to follow all the politicians, presidents, the kids. Sometimes I even have to follow preachers. So please bear with me. I'm not quite as eloquent as the rest of the folks you've listened to today. We do have to thank some other people, and then we'll tell you about the school. First of all, the chairman of our Bond Advisory Committee for Dallas Independent School District, Mr. Bob Marshall. Our very fine architectural firm that designed this school, I think everybody will agree it's a beautiful compliment to the town of Addison. WRA Architects, I believe Carl Prinz and his staff are here. Our excellent builders, Ratliff Constructors, that's Addison's own Ratliff Constructors. You know, we built 4 new schools that opened in August. Ratliff built 3 of them. So they're highly qualified to do our work, I will assure you that, and they do excellent work. The district's project manager and now the executive director for our department, Mr. Ed Levine. Our program management consultants, Parsons, Jack Say, and Jim Smith are here today. All of the excellent folks that we worked with in the town of Addison, I believe you've all been thanked quite a bit, thanks to Mayor Chow. It's been a pleasure working with you folks. We've learned a lot from you. We hope you've learned some things from us. There are also 2 former district administrators that are, like myself, are longtime Addison residents. They were very instrumental in this school, Ms. Donna Michaud and Ms. Yvonne Durant. We'd like to thank them too. The very easy part is building these schools. The tough part comes now in keeping them looking good to everybody's satisfaction, keep them in good repair, and make sure that everything works. So I'd also like to thank Mr. Mike Brown, Mr. Paul Gonzalez from our facilities and maintenance departments. Those guys do a terrific job. Take a look at this school and you'll see what I'm talking about. The 2008 bond program included $1.35 billion approved by the voters in May of 2008. That included money for the construction of 14 new schools, 12 additions, and importantly, 204 renovations projects. This is one of 4 new schools and 2 newly repurposed schools that we did open this past August. And I will tell you, during my career with Dallas ISD, I've been responsible for the design and construction of 40 new schools. This one is the dearest to me because I'm an 18-year resident of Addison, Texas. So I hope we have pleased you. I know that I am pleased. I really enjoy this school every time I drive by it. It's 94,000 square feet. As former Mayor Chow told you, we carved it right out of the Lowe's complex, which is a total of 40 acres. We took about 9.5 acres for the school itself. The total project cost for the school is $22 million. I believe we've got about 600 students here now, but the school will hold up to 800 students in grades pre-K through 5. It has 35 core curriculum classrooms, and we got specialty classrooms for science, music, art, technology, students with special needs, and so forth. Has not only a media center, but it has a gymnasium, multi-purpose performance hall like this, and a cafeteria. We don't combine all those into 1 or 2 rooms. We give you a separate space for each function. The school, coupled with the work of the remainder of the Lowe's complex, and that includes an auditorium, that includes some things that you've seen if you drive by the stadium, the new press box on top, the elevator shaft. If you've gone inside the auditorium, it's been completely transformed and brought up to speed. That represents to you, the folks of Addison, almost $30 million investment from the school district. It's been mentioned too that the project was a joint agreement between the district and the town of Addison. We shared in the cost of the streets, the cost of the sewer lines and other infrastructure to support the school, the landscaping. The nice thing you should know is that landscaping is also going to be maintained by the town of Addison. So you can rest assured that it's going to look good. I think some folks are smart enough to realize that Dallas ISD can't afford to plant tulips and other seasonal flowers, but Addison can, and it's going to look good all the time. We know that. And for that work, we really want to thank again Tom Brown and City Manager Ron Whitehead worked very closely with us. They did a super job. I don't know how many conversations Tom Brown and I had about topsoil and dirt in general, but I think we're finally here. The agreement also includes shared usage of the facility and the grounds between the town and the district. And you should know that shared usage is a concept that's embraced by sustainable design. That's a way to reduce our carbon imprint by eliminating duplication of facilities. This school is of sustainable design, green if you will. We all know that sustainability is the way of Addison. It's also the Dallas ISD way. By board policy, all of our new schools are constructed to meet the strict standards of the Texas Collaborative for High Performance Schools. That's CHIPS, if you've seen that acronym before. Includes such things as natural lighting, energy efficient artificial lighting. You may have seen the solar tube, the fiber optic light fixtures going up and down the corridors. Uses a lot of recycled materials. Dr. Flores mentioned the geothermal heating and air conditioning system. We're putting these exclusively now in all our schools. You will not realize it because you don't see it, but this property now has 360 geothermal wells drilled about 300 feet down in the earth, and that powers the air conditioning and the heating system as well. That's been proven already to save us 35% on our utility costs of operating a new school. And I know none of you are happy with your electric bills these days. I will tell you that Dallas ISD's electric bill is $40 million a year. So anytime we have an opportunity to save 35%, that's important to us. We've got a lot of nice things in the native landscaping. They use a lot less water. They're a lot hardier plants, require less maintenance. All the horizontal surfaces that we could, such as the roof and the paving, are all heat reflective to eliminate the heat island effect. So, you know, all in all, it's a 21st century school. It's a beautiful school, and it will serve us for many years to come. Thank you.
Mr. David Patton is retiring this month. And after several decades of service through many bond programs, he has served the students, staff, and community of our district with an admirable dedication. Please join me in a round of applause and thanks to Mr. David Patton. In conclusion of our dedication ceremony, the faculty, staff, and students of George H.W. Bush Elementary invite everyone to join us in reciting our Learners Campus Creed. This is an important promise that we pledge together each school morning to remind us of our commitment to ourselves. Please find the creed printed in your program. And if you would, please stand and join us in reciting the George H.W. Bush Elementary Learners Campus Creed. We, the proud patriots of George H.W. Bush Elementary, will practice the lifelong guidelines of trustworthiness, appreciation, and personal best. We will also be respectful, responsible, caring, and safe. We will do all these things with one purpose in mind, to do our best and not waste this day, for this day will come no more. I can do anything and I can become anything because excellence begins with me. Thank you. You guys were fabulous. Thank you so much. Thanks to our program participants and speakers for making this day so memorable. Please, if you would, join us for a small reception in our music room next door. And although school is in session, most of our classrooms are open, and we have the library and our labs available, and other areas open on campus for you to take a visit if you so choose. We do hope to see you return throughout this year and years to come, as our students love, love, love to have volunteers. Thanks to all, and go Patriots. Thank you.